in studio with me right now and maybe the rest of the hour as well, the man who could become the next chief of staff to President-elect Donald J. Trump. At least that's what the rumors are.
Yeah, chief
Carl
of staff.
Tepper.
Chief of staff of the janitorial crews.
No, I just saw it. Well, I made up the rumor, but everyone else's name is being thrown out for every other position. So I'm just assuming you're up for something.
I know. I haven't seen my name in any of those articles. I don't understand
That's
that.
wrong. That is wrong.
I want to be the ambassador of the Netherlands. I don't know why.
Is that you want an ambassadorship? Is that what you?
That's the ultimate.
Is that what you want? You want to?
I just want to chill out.
Flee? Is that what it is? You want to leave the United States?
I want to chill out in the Netherlands.
Why the Netherlands?
I don't know. It just sounds like someplace fun to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of cool.
Okay, Netherlands not okay. We'll put that in.
Actually, if you ever see the embassies overseas, you don't realize American power and might until you see the embassies overseas. We own chateaus and things that are our embassies, compounds, and we're a very powerful nation.
What about Cuba? You want to go to Cuba?
No, I don't want to go.
They have a nice embassy down in Cuba.
I like the fall, so I'm looking for some place that has a little. I actually like winter and fall and that sort of thing. So I'm looking for a little winter and fall. Cuba is too tropical for me.
Okay, all right.
I like the cigars, though.
Yeah. Well, you could probably get.
I could buy those in the Netherlands.
Exactly. Yeah. Carl, do you feel bad because people are? I've got an article here. People are burning sneakers. They are protesting in the streets.
Awesome.
The children have taken to the streets.
Awesome.
They're so upset at the. Aren't some of the news channels covering this like a terrorist attack?
Yeah, I would be upset if they weren't out there upset.
Well, Carl, Donald Trump won. He was your guy from the very beginning. How did you feel election night? And then
I always have a downer after any election. I just what do I do now? I'm supposed to be directing something. Get on the phone, set up a party. I don't know. And I had nothing to do the next day. Actually, I'm in charge of getting. I don't know if I should tell people this because I get robbed. I have signed Trump caps. I have the trucker caps and they're signed. And they're actually priceless. If I left diamonds or the signed Trump caps on the table, people would steal the Trump caps. Yeah. So our top battleground people won these caps. They were incentives. And so Robin and I have been getting them out to people, getting their addresses and getting them out. And so we still have some of that lingering. That's the last thing I need to do is get those out to people.
And then after that,
there's just nothing. I'm back to work.
Ambassadorship.
Doing my job. It's funny because you go back, you think it's so exciting and everything, but then you just go back and manage maintenance crews, and get the air conditioning fixed for people, and someone didn't get their trash, thrown away. So that's what you do. What
state that turned red are you most surprised about?
Yeah, Michigan, absolutely. We knew Michigan was a little bit in play. Honestly, I thought we were putting our resources in there just to make them expend their resources elsewhere than Florida. And so I thought it was smart, but I never dreamed we'd get, it looks like 13,000 votes right now in Michigan. So it makes me wish we had put some more resources there, although apparently it was enough. I wish we had put in retrospect, and some of the chatter among the campaign was put some more resources in Minnesota and Virginia, of all places.
Yeah.
Virginia used to be a solidly red state not too long ago, very, very solidly red for George Bush and for Ronald Reagan. Of course, government employees have just grown. The government has grown so much, and we have more government employees that tend to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
So they finally kicked in later in the night.
Well, and let's not forget felons in Virginia were authorized to vote for the first time, right?
How sleazy is that?
For the first time in this election, and it almost, number for number matched up with what she won Virginia by. I mean, and then so I don't know if every ex-felon voted for Hillary Clinton, but that's because Trump was leading that entire night until Northern Virginia came in. When and you're right, that's where there are a lot of government employees. So
and the other surprises of the night were it was interesting how tight Pennsylvania was. We had sent a really effective strike force there, our best people. Rhonda Lacey in Midland headed that up, and I will tell you, somebody had given us a gift of $50,000 to send people, particularly in the black areas of Pittsburgh. And so they went into black neighborhoods of Pittsburgh and walking blocks for Donald Trump and hitting the phones locally. And apparently it worked, because that was the sum of the people we needed to get over the top. I think Donald Trump, I think the numbers were he got double the black vote of Mitt Romney. And he was certainly, people said, well, he's so contentious to minorities and et cetera. I think he got more Hispanic votes than Mitt Romney. So speaking bluntly and plainly to intelligent people who also just happen to be of color, seems to be effective, everyone. So all you wimpy Republicans out there who don't want to address these issues or talk to these very intelligent people very frankly about what the situation is, Black America, let me see, we've had Barack Obama's president for 8 years, and Black America is in the worst condition of any other group in the United States during his term. So when Donald Trump got out there and addressed Black America, a lot of the black churches, and said, frankly, what's going on? Why do you keep going this direction? I mean, what do you have to lose? And it did reverberate with, I think, a lot of the black community. Very, very small, and keeping our black vote's very small. Doubling it is still very tiny, but at least we made some progress there. And I think we need to be like a pit bull and grab onto that and keep the discussion open.
Well, and I think you look at you had Stephen Colbert and some of the other comedians going, Donald Trump really didn't do any black outreach.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, because I would say that he did more outreach within the black communities than any other Republican nominee that I can think of.
He talked to them like they're real voters that have a decision, not the mince words or politically correct. Hey, it's very nice to be here in a black church. I can't believe I'm here. Yeah. I mean,
every candidate has done that.
Donald Trump got out there and challenged them.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, now some acted, like they were so offended by what he said, but I think the black community, they're not idiots. They got it. They're like, yes, I think this guy's right. We're sick of the same old promises and nothing ever happens. Maybe we should look at another direction. At least the guy had the guts to come in here and talk to us like we're real people and not just a monolithic group of some sort.
Yeah, and the Hispanic number was higher for Donald Trump by a few points than it was for Mitt Romney, and that's something people pollsters were the entire time. I think they were pegging Donald Trump getting about 10% maybe of the Hispanic vote and 6%, 3 to 6% of the black vote. Because there's so mean.
There are passages in the Bible that if you have a false prophet, it doesn't come true. I think you stone them to death. Let me tell you something. These pollsters, and I think Limbaugh had it right all along. They weaponized the polls. And they did it. It was really odd because in politics, it's a rule that even if your candidate is 10 or 20 points ahead, maybe he has an also ran against him. You never say that.
Yeah.
You never say my guy's 10 points ahead. Even if he's 10 points ahead, you say, man, I don't know. It's tight. You better get out there.
Yeah.
And so the Democrats overreached by trying to demean the Trump campaign about saying, oh, we're great. She's the next president. She's picking her cabinet, measuring the drapes and ordering fireworks in Hudson Bay, And so I think that was amazingly an amazing mistake on their part. And I think weaponizing those polls was ridiculous. And the methodology was obviously way off. So these guys are either incompetent or they're crooked or all the above. And I think people need to stop buying their services. Now, obviously, there was the Investors Business Daily poll, which has been really close, the last 3 cycles, and the LA Times poll, which has been really correct. And the LA Times had us leading most of the year, but we actually dipped towards Election Day, which scared me to death because that was the one I was watching. I even posted on my Facebook a defense of the LA Times poll, I think about 4 weeks ago. And then they had us this barely slightly ahead going into Election Day, and it turned out just like they said.
When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Carl Tepper in studio, a guy who could be the next ambassador to, where do you want to go?
I want to go to the Netherlands. I bet they'll send me to Greenland or something.
All right. The next ambassador somewhere, Carl Tepper. At least we're going to start that rumor right now and see if it comes true.
Is that where the snipes are from?
We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show. News Talk, KFYO.
Way depressing, Jody. What the hell are you doing? It's already foggy out. It's like you want to go to sleep.
Carl Tepper in studio. By the way, Carl Tepper, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you. How come veterans don't get off on Veterans Day? I don't understand that.
Aren't there like state employees who are off or federal employees off today?
Yeah, of course they get off. They're not veterans. How about veterans get off on Veterans Day? I don't understand that at all.
You know, I know someone you could call and maybe bring that up with. I'm going
to bring it up too. I'm going to bring it up to Mark for next year.
You know, you just. Hey, Carl, I think it's a great idea.
Because he doesn't give me enough time. Yeah, I was thinking about calling the Trump administration and saying, veterans should be off on Veterans Day. I don't need help. I'm not homeless. None of my friends are homeless.
You've got his number in your phone. Just call him directly.
I'm not homeless. I'm not suicidal. Sorry, I'm just not. So, but I would like off on Veterans Day. Is that too much to ask?
I think you deserve it, Carl. Let's head to the phones. And Bob, you're on.
Hey, thank you for answering. I heard something that Rush said, and I kind of liked a little short phrase when he said, "We have been validated. The majority has spoken." I thought that was pretty neat to just sum it all up.
Yeah.
One question. I don't hear a whole lot, haven't seen it in the AJ, about all these demonstrations being paid for by, I think it's George Soros.
I'm sure some of them are. I don't know how many of them. I mean, when it happens just right after the election, usually the payment stuff starts flowing in a few days later.
Yeah.
That's when you see all the really nice signs, and I haven't seen a lot of.
You got to go undercover.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of professional signs yet. I've seen a lot of homemade signs.
What's that group? What's that group who went undercover? The
Project
Operation Veritas.
Yeah.
You need to go undercover to discover that.
I was surprised when it showed the demonstrators in New York, but there was no rioting, as if somebody said, "We'll pay you, but no rioting."
Well, that's going on. Well, you can't – listen, when the Secret Service is around the building, it's probably a smart thing not to riot. But they were doing so in Portland last night. There were riots going on in Portland.
Wouldn't you be disappointed if the wimpy little unemployed welfare queens weren't rioting? Wouldn't you be disappointed? I get such satisfaction out of it. I don't want it to be my building or my car, I promise you, but
right.
I like to see them upset. I think it's great.
Would you like to see a protest in Lubbock?
That would
like over on the tech campus, because that's where it would happen. It would be on the tech campus.
Yeah, there's not a lot of rioting on 50th Street because you'll die. It won't go well for you.
Bob, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, with the protest, I'm sure money will start flowing in. You'll have the professional people,
That'd be awesome. Bring it on.
Yeah. You like the protest? It's so silly to me. You lost. Get over it.
I like it when they're interviewed because you realize
that's true.
They're kind of exposing themselves as complete morons.
They are. They are. Well, and you listen to, and this is what the left doesn't understand. And I've seen, I think his name is Matt Walsh. I've had him on the show before. He's a blogger. He's written a book, and one of the things that he wrote, was, hey, here's some advice to Democrats. Here's why you lost. Republicans got tired of being called bigots. Republicans got tired of being called sexist and racist and homophobes and all of this. And then you go and you listen to the protesters. They haven't learned that yet because they're still saying it. And
it just doesn't have the effect it used to, does it? You know what I mean? It just racist. What does Limbaugh say? Racist, sexist, homophobic. Okay, now what?
Yeah, I mean that's the answer. That's the reaction from everything on the left. If you were against anything that Barack Obama brought up, you're doing so because he's black.
Yeah, you're not allowed to oppose the president in any way because it would be racist, and everyone's rolling their eyes. And it worked 4 years ago. It was a sort of a new strategy, but this year it just fell flat.
It was,
or it motivated our voters.
Yeah, I mean it was. This was an election where Donald Trump, the only other person, by the way, who saw what was going on. Did you hear Michael Moore?
I did. And
Michael Moore, of all people,
it was insightful,
and he was telling Democrats, "You have to watch out for Michigan. you have to watch out. And I don't agree with anything ideologically with Michael Moore. But he went around and he went to some of these Rust Belt states, some of these manufacturing states that have just been decimated. And he was warning Democrats, hey, you don't understand. You don't know the mood here. You don't get it.
It almost seemed like he was sympathetic, didn't he,
yeah.
to the Trump movement? And there is some of that. There's, we've had local arguments about this, these trade deals that are, we're all for fair trade, free trade, but it has to be fair trade. You can't sell a Buick in Tokyo. They always find reasons to hold it up at the port. They say it's legal, but they never quite get the Buicks to the Buick dealership. And so people are sick of that. And I think they've had it. And you can incentivize American manufacturing back to this country. Just lower the rates and get real with your health care and some other issues. And but I'll tell you right now, I would spend a few dollars more on American-made television if I knew, even if a union thug was making it, maybe they priced himself out of a job, maybe they didn't. But I'll sure as heck take him over some slave labor in China. I'll tell you that right now.
How big of and we'll just look at manufacturing. We'll just look at that issue and jobs. How quick of a turnaround do you think a President Trump needs to bring in? Because remember, people want. I think this election is. Okay, everyone's done a lot of talking. Now we want results.
Yeah,
well, it can't happen just like that.
I'm quite worried about it. Everyone always talks about the first 100 days.
Yeah.
They're under some pressure, and I think they realize that. I think Paul Ryan's under some pressure. I think the new president-elect is under pressure.
Yeah.
They better get their act in order. There are some Republican health care plans out there. Frankly, I'd like to send Dustin Burrows up there, a local state representative who's really been trying to bird dog this a little bit and find some free market solutions to our healthcare problems. But they better get their plans in place that are realistic and ready to go because people want that Obamacare dead.
Yeah.
They want it dead and they want to stomp on its grave.
Is that the first? Would that be the first? If you were advising President Trump, would that be the first thing to go after Obamacare?
I would argue yes. I would argue Obamacare would be the first thing. The other is the border. They want the stupid wall. We want it, because we're being invaded, essentially. And it's not just Mexico, folks. So don't make it a racial thing, but it's Guatemala, it's China, it's some Middle Easterners now, and we need to get real about that border. It's a real problem. And there's nothing wrong with a wall where somebody can stand on and look at, well, Carl, they can climb over, dig under. Well, sure as heck does make it tougher.
Yeah.
And gives your border patrol a little bit of a chance.
Yeah.
So I think that border's a big deal. I think immigration in a whole is a big deal. I think not importing people from hotbeds of terrorism or with terrorist ideologies don't need to be coming here. So, yeah, they're under some pressure. They better get some stuff done quick.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, more with Carl Tepper. We'll talk about resources where they went, and specifically New Mexico and Colorado, two sore spots for Carl Tepper, but they did a good job. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Carl Tepper in studio with me. Today is not a Tepper tantrum because he's in a good mood.
Tepper pepper, hot day. I don't know.
You're in a good mood today.
Pretty good.
Let's talk about New Mexico and Colorado. I know those are two states that, the Trump campaign really wanted to win. And for a while there, or for at least a little bit, it looked like Colorado was within grasp, and even New Mexico. And y'all went to New Mexico.
I spent so much money over there in Las Cruces and Albuquerque, and taking people and buying lunches and dinners and organizing. And we walked. I went with Chris Wynn and Greg Lewis. Can you imagine walking blocks with Chris Wynn? He did a great job, by the way. He could talk to anybody. And I had the most fun ever. Chris did a great job, and we thought we had it. I mean, we were getting pounded in burger joints and donut shops and the front doorman of the hotel and for Trump stuff. And thank you for being here. And people at the breakfast at the hotel, going out of their way, stepping out of the way of their families to come talk to us about, what are you doing here? Thank you for being here. This guy needs to win. And that was Albuquerque. That's super liberal there. But I think Robert Pratt was right the other night in the election show that y'all had that, apparently the Republicans, it's a welfare state, New Mexico, especially all over northern New Mexico. Well, actually all over the state. And the Republicans have had the governorship and the House of Representatives in the legislature, not the Senate, but they have cut quite a few things, and people are sore about their cuts. And so we didn't just lose the Trump campaign by pretty good margin. We lost the House of Representatives there. Now I've become attached to the place, And so we lost our House of Representatives there, and I think they gained ground in their state Senate where we were trying to take the state Senate. So really disappointing. And a buddy of mine, like I say, Eric Maroon, who was staff of the Trump campaign, I mean, he'd become a good friend of mine. We talked the night before, and I said, I got New Mexico, you better get Colorado. He goes, oh, we got Colorado. I mean, he's on the western slope and had worked it really hard. And we got killed in Colorado. So I don't know what's going on in Colorado, probably some of the same stuff that's going on in New Mexico, but I know he was really disappointed. The thing about Colorado is, starting this campaign, there is no Republican Party in Colorado. Essentially, I didn't even realize until some conference calls after conference call, but one of the conference calls was about how there is essentially no Republican Party in Colorado, and that's why they were a lot of the Republicans in Colorado were so upset when it was just they voted Ted Cruz all the delegates without any real debate or anything there in their state convention. So they've got some fixing to do there and some issues. So thankfully we pulled over that Michigan and Pennsylvania instead in Florida. So.
For New Mexico, because like you said, Susana Martinez, Republican governor, who has done, by what many Republicans would think, is a pretty good job in New Mexico. Does that mean she's in trouble in New Mexico because it's still blue?
They've got problems. I guess I could say this. I don't really care. They've got problems with Susana. She has not been helpful to the party. Like, she's not a party person. She runs for governor as a Republican, has some Republican leanings, but apparently has not helped, some of these races where she could have inserted herself and helped with the state Senate. I actually see her point where she's got to work with these people. The probability of them winning is very high, but don't go and endorse the Democrat or be too chummy with them during the campaign. Just kind of back away for a while or tacitly give your support to the Republican. That's how it's done, and she didn't do any of that. So there's some issues. So when Donald Trump went into New Mexico a lot and really badmouthed her after she had badmouthed him, we expected a disaster going into New Mexico, and the grassroots of the Republican Party in New Mexico were actually very happy that he was attacking her so hard because they're just not a big fan. So she's got some problems, and they've got some problems there.
770-5790, toll free, 1-800-687-0790. If you want to send in your thoughts via text, you can do that as well, 806-680-2790. It looks as though the Freedom Caucus is going to back Paul Ryan for Speaker. Of course, President-elect Trump, Speaker Ryan got together yesterday, and it was picture and all that kind of good stuff. So they're going to be chummy. You think there's going to be any change in the speakership, or you think that with Trump administration coming in,
there probably should be, but no, I'm still very sore. How Paul Ryan conducted himself. No guts, and that's been his. I used to be a big Paul Ryan fan, but that's been his problem, a lack of guts, a lack of seeing, this guy, Mr. Trump, pushing through boundaries that we've never pushed through before. So I think Paul Ryan showed a very inside the beltway attitude throughout this campaign season. The type of swamp cleaning we need to do. He's been up there his whole life. He was congressional staff and then became a congressman. And like I said, I used to be a big fan. I appreciate his talent in writing a budget. But he was on the Boehner team, which was a disaster. And now he's just sort of a younger, better looking, more vibrant version of Boehner, but not particularly
he doesn't
effective.
Cry.
No, he doesn't cry.
If he is Speaker,
I still like him in some ways.
If they work together, if Ryan and Trump work together and get Trump agenda through, doesn't that pump up Ryan? Boost his numbers?
Course. But he sees the numbers on the wall. As a matter of fact, he had to concede the other night that Donald Trump not only won, but he had some coattails.
Yeah.
Some people around the country pushed through that weren't expected to push through because of the Trump effect. So I do give credit to him for vocalizing that and admitting that and being willing to move through the very aggressive Trump agenda.
Who would you like to see in some of the top spots cabinet-wise? Any names that you'd like to see?
By the way, to you Republicans out there, I think there's a misconception of the RNC. I think the RNC did a great job. The Republican National Committee, I think Reince Priebus and Donald Trump have liked each other since the very beginning. As a matter of fact, when the RNC started giving Donald Trump trouble over a year ago about signing the pledge and all this stuff, I called up to our National Committee people and to the RNC concerned about being unfair to Mr. Trump. I wasn't quite on board just yet, but I like the things he was saying. I think he deserved a shot. And the response I got was, no, Reince they like each other very much. And it did go well through the election cycle. So, and then frankly, the RNC ran half the campaign, if not more.
Yeah.
The Trump people did not have, for the most part, the expertise running a giant campaign. The RNC had never really done it before either, but they had obviously had people who had been around politics for years who were able to put it together, and they did a fantastic job. So I give a lot of credit to the RNC for this. They did a great job. Reince Priebus deserves to be chief of staff if it's not one of the other campaign managers. Obviously, for Secretary of State, Newt Gingrich has been bandied around. I like his name. For Attorney General, look, my all-time favorite is Rudy Giuliani, and you have to be from New York to understand. Yes, he's not socially with us all the way, but if you're from New York, you understand the dynamics in New York City and how he cleaned that place up. It was as clean as Munich, Germany. I mean, just fantastically run, safe city. Rudy Giuliani is deserves our respect and would be a fantastic attorney general. What else are we looking at? Defense again. You're looking at Jeff Senator
Sessions.
Jeff Sessions out of Alabama. I think it would be a fantastic defense secretary. And so,
what about Rick Perry sent out an Instagram photo the other day hinting that he had gotten the call to saddle up and ride. And a lot of people take that as he's going to Washington to do something.
I will tell you, Rick Perry is a guy, it's no secret. I've never been the biggest fan, although I think he's a very nice guy. But he's a guy who personifies what it is to be a Republican where, you fought it hard in a primary, and that's great. It was tough. But when the nominee's selected, you jump in behind your nominee, and he did. He did a fantastic job. And frankly, there's probably nobody else better qualified to be Interior Secretary or Agricultural Secretary or one of those positions. He was Texas Agricultural Secretary. He understands it. He's in the business, and he deserves to be looked at for some sort of position there.
There's been some kicked around that Mike McCall, one, he's going to stay where he's at. Two, he's going to run against Ted Cruz in 2018. And what came out just the other day is he's being looked at possibly Homeland Security.
Yeah, he's if you don't know who he is, everyone, Michael McCall is a congressman out of Austin, actually stretches all the way to Houston, was my congressman for a short amount of time. He's very wealthy. His father-in-law is Clear Channel Worldwide, Lowry Mays, a very big, wealthy media family. That's his father-in-law. And he turns out he's pretty talented in his own right. He's chair of Homeland Security. He's done a great job with it. He's on television and Fox News a lot, discussing issues of international terrorism.
And that's why some say he may not want to leave that position and run against Ted Cruz because, he's pretty powerful.
The best thing that ever happened to Ted Cruz is Donald Trump winning. It's kind of a mixed bag for Ted Cruz, but for Michael McCall would absolutely be a great national security advisor. Yeah. I have no doubt.
What is the future for Ted Cruz right now, you think?
I read an interesting article in Rolling Stone, of all places, about Ted Cruz and his sad election night party or something. If anyone can recover, Ted Cruz can. He's a very smart guy. He definitely has a natural ability. Some of us, and me included, are going to be sore at him for some time. Not just because of this campaign. We were ignored essentially through his entire U.S. Senate term, and he's finally made his way to Lubbock a couple of times and talked to some people he needed to talk to, and he needs to keep doing that. So if he can recover, I'm sure he can. But some of us look at him very differently than we did. I voted for him twice. I voted for him in the primary and then the runoff, and then I guess 3 times now I voted for him in the general. But he definitely has an uphill climb for a guy who's supposed to be so smart. He's made some terrible mistakes and really boxed himself in. And
was it smart of him to jump in at the end?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there was no doubt he needed to do something. Does it save him? I don't know. We're going to have to see how this plays out. And with Rick Perry out of the picture in a Trump administration and Michael McCall in the picture in a Trump administration, Ted can probably breathe a little easier.
When we come back, we'll get final thoughts. We'll wrap up today's show. Take your calls as well. All right, Chad Hasty Show, wrapping up today's program. We've got Carl Tepper in studio, who may be the next ambassador to the Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
Yeah, that's where Carl wants to go. Let's see. We were talking during the break, and there was actually a piece that came out today on The Hill or maybe Washington Examiner, talked about some of the oddball or, out-of-the-box choices that Donald Trump could make for a Supreme Court nominee, because that's going to be one of his first big, almost a unite even among the Republicans who still aren't with him. Hey, here you go. Here's a constitutionalist, someone who will abide to the Constitution. Ted Cruz was mentioned as a possible Supreme Court nominee. I don't think he would take the job because I still think he wants to be president. But what do you think of the idea?
I would love for him as a Supreme Court justice. I know he'd always vote my way. We always agree on the issues, but he can bloviate all he wants to in opinions and get him out of Texas. This way we get a senator who would like doing the job and be more effective legislating.
So yes for Ted Cruz.
I'd love him.
Do you think he would do it?
It'd be great.
You think he'd do it, or you think?
I think he'd be crazy not to. I think that's where his talent lies.
But he wants to be president so bad.
Well, I'd like to be president too. I want an Aston Martin really bad, but I just can't afford it right now.
But don't you think he's in that mindset? I don't know how you get him out of the mindset.
The Supreme Court's a big deal.
You take a robe in and you go, here you go. This could be yours.
It's a big
deal. For
deal.
life.
Yeah,
you could be on the Supreme Court.
I'd love him to do that. I think he'd be great at it.
Let's see. Let's go to the phones real quick. Robin's been holding on. Robin, you're on KFYO. What you got for us,
gentlemen.
Robin?
Good morning. Hey, super fast. One thing was the Supreme Court. I think that's one of the first things they need to get. I was thinking might need to get done, and you already kind of touched on that. Ted Cruz. I think part of Trump's election was a vindication for Scalia. You know what I'm saying? There's a chance to put someone up there that'll do him proud. And
I think we got lucky. I think we got a little lucky there, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't we though?
Yeah.
That the one time the Republican Party did something and they stood firm and
funny how that
held
works.
Against. Yeah, I'm still.
Kudos to Mitch McConnell.
Amazed.
Yeah.
Oh well. I keep waiting for him to retire.
You know what? Let me say, I might surprise you a little bit. Mitch McConnell has handled the Trump phenomena very well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot to complain about with Mitch McConnell, but working with our campaign and having the right tone and going with the nominee and then blocking that Supreme Court justice. It's kind of vindicated for some really stupid stuff he's done in the past. Don't you want to give him a little bit of credit?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, no problem. That is probably one of the best things that ever happened. I mean, can you imagine had that not been stopped?
Yeah. Robin.
No guarantee. But the other quick
Robin?
question was for maybe another day and time. I'm just curious when the RNC chooses, who they're going to support or not. And there was just like the candidate in Colorado. I was concerned about that. I mean, how does that work? I know there's some good candidates out there that may not have gotten help that lost. I mean, do you feel that way?
Yeah, Robin, there's actually a checklist of factors that they look at. Fundraising ability, by themselves. They look at winnability factors. They look at the strength of the incumbent. If it's an open seat, they actually fly them to Washington, and they have people in the baggage area waiting for them, screaming, You're against abortion. Well, but what if I get raped? What about? And they do exercises like that to try to shock these guys, and then they grade them through the week of how they perform, and it'll be an indicator of where they put their money.
What's the future for the Never Trump crowd?
Look, a lot of them did. I was surprised at how many did coalesce and come back even late in the game. We're very happy to have them.
You got the Eric Ericksons, the Becks.
And they're Matt Makoviak, your buddy Matt Makoviak.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of people who need to reevaluate the American electorate right now.
Carl Tepper, the next ambassador to the Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
That's what he wants. Make it happen, Donald Trump.
I want a chateau and a Marine battalion.
That's all you want. Just the little things in life. All right, folks, have a great weekend. We'll be back here next week.
Happy Veterans Day, boys.
Absolutely. Follow me on Twitter, Chad Hasty Radio. Make it a great weekend and continue to laugh at the liberal tears.
Make America great again.